Welcome to our beginner to pro series focusing on wildlife kit. We've got 4 videos in this series, one starting at £500, one at £1,500, one at £5,000, and also one at £10,000, which you're watching right now. At this price point where you've got a lot of money to spend, we've recommended the Sony A1 Mark II, the 300 f2.8 and the 200 to 600 f5.6 to 6.3 OSS G Master lens. Unfortunately, we don't have that lens or the Sony A1 Mark II, but we do have the original A1 and the 300 f2.8 here. And effectively, the fundamentals are exactly the same, looking at the A1 and the A1 Mark II. Same 50.1 megapixel resolution sensor, which means you've got loads of resolution to play with. It's a fully stacked BSI sensor as well, so really fast readout speeds, virtually no rolling shutter effect whatsoever. So panning across the frame, you're not going to get any warping motion when you're shooting fast moving subjects. It also shoots up to 30 frames per second shutter, so you're again, freezing motion is going to be a breeze with a camera like this. And it has 759 phase detect autofocus points with animal eye AF. So in terms of tracking your subjects, locking onto them really fast, no issues again here with a camera like this. In terms of handling, the A1 Mark II is really actually quite compact for the kind of money you're spending and the capability of it. It has a really solid grip to it. Paired with a lens like this, actually, it's really nice to handhold. And as I said, you've got 5-axis image stabilization in the camera body, but also this is an OSS lens, optical steady shot. So you've got really good capabilities for hand-holding your shots with a camera setup like this as well. In terms of ISO sensitivity, the A1 Mark II and A1 can do ISO 100 to 32,000. It can also do expanded up to 102,400, which means in a practically no light situation with a backside illuminated, fully stacked sensor, you can ride your ISO up to insane values and still get very clean or at least usable shots at very, very high ISO values. As I mentioned, this is the A1, but the A1 Mark II does have some body refinements and an improved processor, so it's even faster in terms of processing. You'll get a much higher buffer with an A1 Mark II and even cleaner images at those higher ISOs compared to the A1. So if you're spending that extra money, there's effectively no compromise picking a camera body like that. Now, the reason why we've chosen the 300 and the 200 to 600 lens combo to pair with your A1 Mark II is because you've got the 300 f2.8 constant aperture for closer subjects where you pick your spot and you wait for the subject to come to you. That would typically be in a low light scenario. That's why you take advantage of the 2.8 aperture. But with the 200 to 600 millimeter lens, you're hunting for a subject. You're looking for a spot to wait for them. They're going to be moving around a lot faster and a lot more unpredictably. So having that extra range gives you so much more flexibility in terms of variation and the subject that you can capture. One of the standout things I love about the A1 and A1 Mark II is its beautiful 9.44 million dot viewfinder, which is super clear, really bright to use out in the field. And it just gives you so much more clarity when you're looking at wildlife subjects, especially when they're in and around forests and trees. Having that extra clarity in the viewfinder is a massive bonus. Now, I've spoken about what these can do on paper, but let's throw out to Tom in the field so he can show you what a camera kit like this can actually do in the real world.
Right, so in the £10,000 bracket and above, you're really getting a huge number of options for your wildlife photography. Now, to illustrate the segment, I've got my personal kit. This is my 600 f4 with a built-in teleconverter and a Nikon Z9. This is what I use day to day as a professional wildlife photographer. Fantastic for getting me close to subjects and getting the images that I'm after. Now, let's quickly talk through the specs of this camera. Now, my Z9, resolution 45 megapixels. Tons of resolution for not only doing big prints, commercial work, and helping me crop if I need to get that extra resolution on my subject. The speed of the camera, you're getting flagship performance. It's got 20 frames per second, autofocus that just gets you straight onto your subject, nailing the shot, meaning that any little moment that I'm out there experiencing nature, I'm going to capture it with the camera. That's absolutely brilliant. Going on from that, the ISO performance also really good. When the light gets low, I can rack up my ISO and still get those sharp shots when I need to and not worry too much about noise in the background. The ergonomics of the camera are something I absolutely love. You know, when you work in the field, you want a big chunky camera, something I can work with gloves. You know, the built-in battery grip in the bottom means that when I'm shooting portrait as well, I've got the clean ergonomics to just work straight in that way. Dual CF Express cards mean I've got great speed and backup for my images. And then the large battery that gives me enough, you know, power to work through extended shoots. That's really nice to have. And just all round, it's a proper tool to work in any conditions, and I've used it all around the world. It's fantastic for that. Now the lens, this is the 600 f4. That f4 aperture means that it lets in a huge amount of light. When you're working in situations like this, you know, I'm out on the river, dappled light, areas I'm shooting into are quite dark. That extra light that I can gather for the 600 is superb. I can get those backgrounds to be really clean and out of focus and really kind of hone in on my subject, even in darker conditions. The 600mm focal length, of course, gives me the reach I want. You know, today I'm out looking for dippers and small birds. This allows me to get closer without having to constantly get nearer to my subject physically. Larger working distance, of course, very handy for more, you know, subjects you don't want to get close to, subjects you don't want to disturb, or just things that are a bit dangerous you don't want to get near to. It's fantastic for that. And that extra working distance just makes it a bit more consistent that you're going to get images in the field. That's really nice. So what are the benefits of spending this much money? Well, in terms of the camera, actually, you know, compared to like the £5,000 bracket, you're not getting that many more improvements in terms of the sensor and everything, but it's really the rugged survivability of the camera, that durability, that just professional nature of it. You've got the built-in grip, the extra battery performance. You know, it's just a camera that when you're out day-to-day shooting, dragging it in horrible locations, it's just going to work and keep working. It's absolutely wicked. Yes, you get double CF Express card slots as well. That, you know, just a few more professional features. But really for me, it's the ergonomics, especially how it works and kind of handles with a longer, more professional telephoto lens like this. Now, when it comes to the lens, what do you get? Well, it's just a unique look that you almost cannot get out of anything else. 600 f4, 400 2.8. The look of the images that come out of these super telephotos is unique. It's that mixture of the compression from the focal length and that wide open aperture gives you those clean images, that beautiful pop to the shots. And you'll see it, you'll know it from images that you've seen from your favorite professionals and stuff like that. You'll just look at those images and there's something special about it. And that really is what you're getting from this niche purchase. Now, choosing one is something you also want to spend a lot of time with. Here, I'm doing small birds. A 600 f4, fantastic for that. If I'm working a lot more with mammals, larger subjects, 600 might be a little bit restrictive. And so a 400 2.8 might be something that you go after. Especially in the UK, where light's a little bit lower, that 2.8 aperture can be extremely beneficial as well. I'm lucky enough that in my kit as a professional, I've also got a 300 2.8, so I can switch between them as I need. But if you're just going to be purchasing one of these, you really want to think about the subjects you work with most and what's going to lean into that to give you the best performance when you're out in the field. Now, even at this price bracket, there of course are some drawbacks. The lens itself is big and heavy, even though it's made of the latest lightweight materials, carbon fiber hoods, all that sort of stuff. It still is a big, cumbersome object to take out into the field. That means if you're walking long distances, you want to go to kind of remoter locations, it can be a bit, you know, something to really drag to get there. Now, the focal length being a fixed prime is another kind of, you know, thing that you got to think about. I can't move too much. I'm a bit more restricted in the way I'm going to work with my subject. I need to know roughly where the distance is that I'm going to be photographing before I set myself up. Because as we know with wildlife photography, once you're in position and you're waiting for those subjects, you don't want to disturb things. So you really got to get it right and be in the right position to know that you're going to get that shot. But of course, when you do, the optical quality and that comes out of this lens is absolutely perfect. Other issues with this sort of lens, traveling, bit of a headache. Camera bags, much bigger, overhead lockers, all that stuff can be a bit tricky. But you know, for the ultimate image quality, for those perfect shots, you really can't beat taking it with you. Now, I know that there's quite a few people getting into wildlife photography with a budget for this sort of setup. They'll think, oh great, that's the perfect lens. Now, I would offer some caution that before you spend this much money, you really want to know exactly the lens you want to buy. Some of the zooms that you can use to get used to the sort of focal length you want to work with are a great option to start with, and maybe even renting the super telephotos for a weekend before you commit to that big purchase. But when you know which one you want, it's going to be one of those purchases that you just fall in love with and you end up wanting to take it absolutely everywhere, even if it's a real drag on your back. I know that I wouldn't be without my super telephoto lenses when I'm out in the field.
If we're considering alternatives to this setup, I would say potentially look at the Canon R1, or even if you want to save a little bit more money on the camera, I know you've got £10,000 to spend. If you want to save a little bit more money on the camera, you could go for the Canon R3. Very similar resolution between the two. One is 24.2 resolution and the other is 24.1. So the resolution is pretty much the same, but the R1 is a lot faster. It can shoot at 40 frames per second for continuous bursts. I think the R3 is 30 frames per second. So you've got a lot more speed with the R1 for that little bit of extra money. But in terms of camera quality and build, both of those Canon cameras offer you amazing camera body performance. They're both quite fast as well. I mean, 40 frames per second and 30 frames per second. It's much of a muchness. You're going to be able to capture your subjects with either body, but they open you up to the amazing, vast range of Canon lenses as well. To sum up the £10,000 price bracket, you've got a fully stacked sensor in the A1 Mark II, which means amazing readout speeds, significantly superior low light performance. You're not going to be able to find a scenario that this camera cannot deal with comprehensively. You've got a 300mm f2.8 lens, constant aperture, ideal for close-up scenarios, low light situations as well. And then you've got the 200 to 600 super telephoto. And as a whole combination of kit, there's very few scenarios where this camera and this lens setup is going to let you down. In fact, I can't think of one. To sum up the whole series, at £500, you're getting more reach. At £1,500, you're improving your hit rate with much better autofocus. You know, modern mirrorless systems have amazing autofocus capabilities. AI autofocus will do subject detection as well, which will really help you out and get a lot more success when you're out in the field shooting images. At £5,000, you're improving your dynamic range. You're going to be able to shoot in low light scenarios that you couldn't do before with lower end kit, which opens up a lot more shooting capabilities and more subject matter as well. And then at £10,000, no compromise. You can really pick kit that will let you go out into the field with full confidence. You'll be able to shoot any form of wildlife you can think of on this planet and get amazing results every single time. Now, hopefully you guys have watched every single video in this series, and if you haven't, I recommend you go back and watch some of those other episodes, because what we talk about at £500 is you get more reach. That gets your foot in the door into being able to shoot wildlife that you can't do with any other device like a smartphone. At £1,500, you're starting to see improvements in terms of autofocus and subject detection. At £5,000, you're opening up the world of low light photography with much better dynamic range. And then at £10,000, you're opening up the ability to get results no matter what. And I think ultimately at every single step, you're seeing a meaningful improvement in what you're capable of doing and the types of subjects that you're able to get out and interact with and enjoy and shoot. I hope you've enjoyed the series. If you have any comments, please put them in the section below and we'll try our best to answer you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in another one.